Hey, it's the last ever Coach Watch. I don't think I'll be doing this in 4 years' time, but you never know. And it might be a little bit of a longer one because I've got a few things that I want to cover, and forgive me if I ramble a little bit. When I was younger, growing up in Manchester, football was everything. And the result of my team was everything. When we won or drew, the weekend was great. But when we lost, the weekend was a write-off. And I'd generally spend it with fellow fans wallowing in the misery of the team's poor performance. And believe me, with the team that I followed, there were plenty of those bad weekends. And maybe you know somebody like that, or it's you. And it might not be football, it might be rugby or GAA. But it's something that you've been brought up with, and it's deep within you. It's part of the way you are and the way you have to be, right? It's a kind of madness, really, hanging so much on something that you have completely and utterly no control over. But times have changed, certainly for the team that I follow, and also for me in the way that I actually see football and see my team. I take the highs, the good results, and I enjoy them, and it's great, but then it passes. And I also see the lows as well. There aren't so many nowadays, but when they happen, they still happen, and I still feel them, but I also move on really, really quickly. So that's why when England dropped out of the World Cup last Wednesday night, although I did feel the pain and the sense of a real missed opportunity, it passed fairly quickly, and by the time I was home from the pub, I had moved on and I was thinking about the positive things that had happened over the last 4.5 weeks. And when I do look back on this whole World Cup tournament, I like to look back and hang on to the great memories, the great drama, the great goals, the excitement and the performances of all these athletes who are at the pinnacle of their careers. And also because I'm a coach, I look back at the mistakes and the weaker points and look for the lessons that can be learned from those without criticism and without judgment. So with that in mind, here are some of the highlights for some of the key teams in this tournament, especially with regard to the coaches. So for France and Didier Deschamps, the winners of the tournament, congratulations to them. Allez les Bleus. They probably possessed the outstanding talent of the tournament and possibly the outstanding talent of the next 10 years in European football. And they also had a pretty good supporting cast as well. And the coach himself, not such a popular figure in France, believe it or not. There are mixed feelings about him, but you can't deny that he managed to get the best out of his team, his players, when they needed it most. And they actually went to a fairly comfortable victory. Some people might believe there was controversy there, but that's part of football. And what of Croatia coach Zlatko Dalic? Well, he had a few tough things to deal with during the tournament. He actually had to send a player home for a breach of discipline, but he showed that leadership and he made that tough decision, and his team continued to battle hard. And they do have some talented players, but also they're a small nation, the population smaller even than Ireland, and to produce so many top players and then to get them to perform together as a team, that's really fantastic, and it's something that they should all be really proud of, and I believe that they are. So well done to Zlatko Dalic and his Croatia team. Next up, Belgium. Outstanding talent in that team, and led with coolness and calmness by Roberto Martinez to a very admirable third place finish. Well done, Belgium. And next up, England. So for England, I saw calm and thoughtful leadership from Gareth Southgate, which helped to get results for what is realistically a limited squad, and they played what was out there in front of them and achieved more than most people expected before the tournament had started. So again, the coaching produced more than the sum of the parts. Well done, England. Those are the semi-finalists, and I'm going to cover some of the other teams as well, just very briefly. Starting with Spain. So Spain, if you remember, they sacked their coach just a couple of days before the tournament started, and people wondered whether that would hinder them. Obviously it did. They started the tournament well, but as they went deeper into the tournament, performances dropped and they started to struggle, and possibly the lack of leadership and experience told for the players. Even though they're an incredibly talented squad, they still need a coach at the helm who can keep on driving them forward, and that's why Spain went out fairly early in the tournament. And next I want to talk about Argentina. Now, they were, again, lots of talent, but clearly chaotic situation off the pitch. The coach was relatively new, but not popular, not respected, and in the end it showed up on the pitch, and out they went. And next to Russia, the hosts, I said earlier in the tournament that they were under great pressure to perform as hosts, and the coach remained pretty cool and calm and collected throughout those early stages, and his team rose to the occasion. They started with a great 5-0 win and continued to perform above expectations. So I believe that's great leadership under extreme pressure, and shows how you can bring the best out of your players and help them to perform and produce great results all the way until they went out in the quarterfinals. So well done, Russia. And finally, I actually want to talk about Japan just for a moment. So this is a strange story for Japan. I'm not sure which round it was, but there was probably the final group game where they needed to play out a draw in order to go through to the next round. So that's against the spirit of the game to try and manufacture a result like that. But it was very clear that they were doing that, and the coach was rather apologetic about that afterwards. He retained his dignity, and although they went through and then went out in the next round, he again was dignified. They had a great performance against Belgium, but lost out in the last minute. And also great credit to the fans there of Japan. Famous scenes of them cleaning up after themselves and the players cleaning up the dressing room. That's dignity, that's class, that's respect. So well done to Japan. Management, leadership, coaching, using a coaching style, however you want to label it, coaching has the power to enable your team to perform to the maximum of their ability, to fulfill their potential. So next time you're thinking about how you can get the best out of yourself or out of your team, you should certainly consider coaching as one of the ways that you can do that. Although Coach Watch is over, there'll be plenty more from me in the coming weeks, months and years. And one final message: I love this game!